Guys, are you ready? Are you ready for one of the craziest stories in history of reef keeping? Then I'm gonna talk about how I set up my new reef tank over there. This is my new acrylic reef tank from the brand new Wave. I know some of you have already seen it, but just for the repeat, it's a 110 to 110 to 60 centimeter tank, and with the sump included it has got a volume of round about 700 liters. But what do you do with such a beautiful reef tank anyway? On Instagram and YouTube there are a lot of reef tanks that all look great, but I want to do something completely new. So something that has never been done before on YouTube. Not that easy. So first Tolga came to me and together we created a stone structure where water can flow through very well. In a saltwater aquarium, it is important not to put too many stones in the tank, otherwise they can form spongy spots. Then the water quality will suffer and the corals have no chance to survive. Here Tolga works with sand and superglue. The two components together react when touching the stone and the mixture becomes as hard as concrete. After I was satisfied with the stone setup, I invited a flow concept with Claude from TUNZE. Claude is the product developer from TUNZE and came all the way from France to Germany just for bringing me the perfect flow pump for that tank, the TUNZE Stream 3 Plus. So, okay, maybe you came from the US, you've got another feeling for distance, because here in Europe, from France to Germany, this is a long way. In the aquaristik you often speak of a ring flow, however this is not always an advantage in such square tanks as I have. Here Claude advises me to have an alternating flow, otherwise the dirt can accumulate right in the middle of my aquarium. So one pump runs for 10 seconds and then the other turns on. Because I'm too stupid to buy my own osmosis system, my buddy Jonas came over and brought me a little bit of water and we put in the huge A200 Abyss return pump. Jonas is an aquarium builder and we both checked if the piping is really tight. I then mixed the osmosis water with the ATI Absolute Ocean Salt. This is a highly concentrated liquid salt with which I have already made good experiences in the past. Maybe you remember my old IKEA tank? Oh man, this is over 2 years ago. Never mind, other topic. Okay, the Seafriendlyreef aquarium was ready and I could finally start. We first made an ICP and checked if all the water parameters were okay. My idea was to build a Caribbean biotope aquarium, but with only some small fish. Yeah, I like also huge fish like tanks or angelfish, but I also prefer the contrast in the tank with some smaller fish, and I think for the fish it's also much better because they just have a little bit more space. There are a lot of gorgonians in the Caribbean, a beautiful coral, one of my favorites. However, I did not want to buy animals that were solely removed from the ocean to go into my aquarium. That's why I made a very special decision. We already know the Natural History Museum in Karlsruhe. This is the 240,000 liter aquarium with Kala, the black-tipped shark, and a lot of corals. These corals grow so well here that the owner Hannes surely wouldn't mind if we cut off a small piece, isn't it? Unlike at home in an aquarium, you have to go diving here for such an operation, of course. But I had to be enormously careful though. No, not because of the shark, but because of the corals. Often there were only a few centimeters between me and these sensitive animals. Also, I was not allowed to crash into the acrylic. Now I really felt like a fish in an aquarium. And Carla became so friendly with me. After half an hour, she didn't leave Hannes and my side. With the gorgonians I could already put the first corals, so the first animals, yeah, corals are animals, in my tank, but the fish are missing. Tim from the Unterwasser Freiburg came to me by train in the middle of the night. He had these white boxes with him. And yes, you're right, my new fish were inside. Besides a few snails, which are great algae eaters, and a few sexy shrimp, there were a lot of small guppies, which are also found in the Caribbean in one or another similar form. But the highlight, however, were the two filefish. With 7 centimeters, they are the biggest animals that are put into my new aquarium. Okay guys, this is the story behind that beautiful reef tank over there. In my opinion, it is not that normal that you dive for your corals and you have all the developers from the brands in your own house. So yeah, maybe it's the Seafriendlyreef style. We are going to follow the tank over the next time. I hope you liked the video. Feel free to subscribe to that channel. If you've got some questions, stocking, equipment, tank itself, feel free to write it down in the comments, and it would be great to see you here next time.